Most of the points which I had prepared had been discussed already or has been touched by the speakers or the panelists in the previous sessions. And MEA's very comprehensive presentation was made by my colleague earlier. So my presentation remains the same, but I will do some iteration in explanation. There are a few more things. Japanese ambassadors shared very important ideas in the form of wish list. Then issues, challenges, or the ideas also were listed, starting with my friend Prabir. CS, Chief Secretary, talked about the cap on the external funding. These are some of the issues. Sugino-san, JCCII, he talked about Japanese in English. Very interesting for me. I'm into Japanese for 43 years now. And would like to know why not in Hindi or why not in Indian languages. It's interesting, but that some sort of globalization taking place. We have been telling Japanese side that teaching Japanese in Japanese has got its limitations. So a hybrid mechanism is required. So I'm happy to hear this. Agro, very interesting aspect which you talked about. And Hayashi-san is not here. His concluding remarks, Matabari, big change, game changer. Let me now tune my presentation in this regard. Can we go to the next? My slide, please. Yeah, briefly, I'm from MEA, so I'm supposed to remind you all that our relationship is very sound. 752 was the eye-opening ceremony conducted by Bodhisena, a South Indian priest in Todai temple of Nara. This shows that the Buddhism in Japan has got India link very deep and it doesn't go. So we started from there. I very strongly believe that there were links prior to that also, but even if we begin with this, so it gives a very strong foundation. Major links thereafter include Rabindranath Tagore Okakura chemistry. Then Justice Radha Vinod Pal, he took a stand at Tokyo Tribunal, which Japanese feel that they are grateful for that. San Francisco Peace Conference, Pandit Nehru's decision not to participate, instead go for diplomatic relations, signing of the peace treaty in 1952. Reparations were not asked for. Then Bose connection, Ras Bihari Bose and Subhash Chandra Bose. Ueno Zoo had an elephant gifted by Pandit Nehru in those times. And this has been repeated thereafter. Then in the recent time, we have success story like Maruti Suzuki, Delhi Metro, connectivity projects, including in the Northeast, and the high-speed rail, which is coming up now. 2000 to 2014, our partnership started with global and became special strategic global partnership. Strategic is fine. Special has got a big meaning, which I would leave all of you to explore further. I'll be there for answering any question if you ask me. One hint is that the special means setting targets by Japan, which is not a usual practice. Japan is a kampeki shugi, the perfectionism, which do not commit or promise a target unless they are very sure that they can cross that target. Ambassador is smiling. My purpose is served. I wanted to say 5 trillion, the current target, will be surpassed. He has acknowledged that. And I feel the potential is much higher. I see something like 7 trillion in 2027. My friends from the industry are here. Not a very big target to be achieved. It goes without saying, Japan is one of India's most important partner. We have got some mechanisms. Can you go to next? These are the mechanisms which I don't need to list. These are available for taking the things forward. So many mechanisms are there. It starts from ACTIS Forum, trilateral cooperation, multilateral platforms, track 1, track 1.5, track 2, ministerial level meetings, 2+2 meeting. We have annual summit plus 2+2. So it's a very special relationship. We have agreements in the field of civil nuclear, counterterrorism, cyber dialogue, then maritime affairs, defense equipment and technology, space, digital, semiconductor, a very recent one, health, currency swap. Currency swap also actually shows Japan's confidence in India. Then freight corridor, industrial corridor, metro, high-speed rail are other examples. This next slide I will touch upon very little bit because ma'am spoke about the manpower movement, skill, and Japanese language. Both are these areas which I deal directly in the ministry. So I can speak a lot on this, but Kodera-san is speaking on this, so I'll skip that part. But I would like to mention here important points that we tried very hard to go for white collar movement of manpower. It took a lot of time, efforts, and white collar was not able to make it. One reason, of course, was language. Real reason is that language plus culture. And culture means teaching methodology also. And then we shifted to the workforce. Instead of white, we go for the blue collar. And in the blue collar, while we started doing it, the white collar started moving on its own. I don't know the exact number, but I think there are more than 20 to 30 professors, Indian professors in Japan now. This used to be less than 5 some time back. And this process will probably go further. And with regard to, a lot has been said or a lot has been done, but I believe, would like to request Ambassador as well as the industry to consider that the skill development requires MSME, entry of MSME, Japanese MSME in India, and the skill development will take place automatically. So this is an area where extra efforts are required. On the language part, we at MEA have been doing a lot with Embassy of Japan. And I would say the last line there, not able to read it very clearly, let me read from here. If a white collar has to go to Japan, I would suggest, and if you have to suggest, please say N1 is the target. Japanese language N1, then only you should go to Japan. N1 immediately is not possible. So you go to N3 level, try for N2, then go to Japan, and you will enjoy Japan much more, both from work point of view as well as living point of view. For skilled workers, again, I think N4 is the minimum required qualification. But I would like to mention here that the Vietnamese who are going there, they are N2 level. Next, second from the top. So if you will have to compete, if Indians have to compete in Japan, N3 should be minimum. And for any person who has to go to Japan, objectivity, that is the 5W1H, and SWOT analysis, your own strength, your own weakness, that analysis one should do and then go to Japan. For white collar, skills as per Japanese way of doing the things is very important. Coming to the next slide, these are the broad convergences already there. This has been talked, so I skip, I go to the next, that is ACTIS Forum. Ambassador has talked about the ACTIS Forum to be held on 19th. We'll be having the functional level meeting on 15th, where we will see what exactly needs to be streamlined. MEA does the job of streamlining the bilateral cooperation in the Northeast and also facilitate the trilateral cooperation. So ACTIS Forum has got two elements. One is the Japanese projects in the Northeast, seeing that those projects yield the result in time and in the required manner, and the facilitating the trilateral cooperation. Now we are doing the survey. MEA is collaborating or cooperating with the JICA, and this survey for cross-border trade and logistic improvement has got some points which are very important. First is the understanding the meaning. What does this survey will do? It will try to find out the gaps to improve trade and logistics aspects and will probably lead to projects to fill these gaps. Therefore, it is very important, and since it was said that convergence of thoughts is taking place, if it is taking place, I would say go one step ahead and work with full transparency. Thought convergence can take place when the transparency is there. So build awareness in transparent manner, deliberate and provide essential inputs to JICA team. This is both for Bangladesh and Indian side. All the stakeholders on both the sides. Work on the 3M. This is a typical Japanese concept of man, machine, material. Man means capacity building. Machine is equipment and technology. And material means how do you source and how you develop the right material. And few elements for multiplied yield through Japanese cooperation. In crude sense, it means how to attract Japanese interest, including the JIT. First is to understand the Japanese planning process and the implementation. This includes SWOT, of course, brainstorming and 5W1H approach. Next stage is customer for you. In any process, the next stage is my customer. So it's not the physical customer, but at any place, even in the office also, if we think that next stage is my customer, my attitude will change. This is what the Japanese would like you to do. Customer satisfaction drives the process. Implementation only as per SOPs. I would say if Indians and Bangladeshis both try their hard, they will reach somewhere midway, because we are not used to the SOP. We are way too flexible always, which is good in a way, because Japanese sometimes don't think out of box. So this will be a good combination, but some amount of SOP following is very necessary. And Kaizen to improve the QCD, the quality, cost, and delivery. Provide necessary inputs clearly and do the hand-holding. And this is very simple. One is the prompt response. Received your mail. Thank you for your call. Thank you for your communication. I will respond to you next week, next month, or in 3 months. Respond this much. Japanese will be very happy. But ascertain that you respond or do what you're supposed to do in that particular time period. So this is possible when you think simple and go steady. To do so, I very strongly believe that thorough knowledge of Japanese language is very important. If you don't have that, you will find that you will not be able to work with the Japanese well. It will be a marriage where you will always doubt each other. So I would say, if you are doing business or interacting with Japanese, have somebody in your setup who knows Japanese very well. And I'll be doing a separate session on the Japanese language tomorrow. Those who are interested can join that. And there are some points, if time allows, I can speak on the previous sessions. I noted from the, okay. There were points like Japanese industry in Bangladesh. To me, it appears extremely object-oriented, working on TQM style. So we need to reciprocate this, both in Bangladesh and in India. It's the Japanese industry or the Japanese companies whom I heard, they seem to be very target-oriented. I would like our side, as well as Bangladesh side also, this will help us become transparent, and then we can have a win-win game for trilateral cooperation. And I would like to request the Japanese business that you will be going good to the Japanese business, to the Northeast business, and also to the Bangladesh business. If you or your consortium can work to create some park on both the sides with which you can collaborate. Reviving the Nagarbera, Assam, the Guwahati one, is a very good way of doing that. And I believe that it has got the potential to create very reliable and very resilient supply chain. I have some industry experience, so I'm speaking from that experience. And this can be a new model from this region. From South Asia, this could be a new model. You have talked about customer immigration issues many times. There was one response from the audience on harmonization instead of harmonization, recognition of each other's laboratory, etc., and visa relaxation. I would not say blanket, MEA is here also. These are slightly difficult issues. Maybe to people it appears that it's MEA which will do it. Sometimes even we don't know who all are the stakeholders on our side. MHA, of course, we know. In JICA survey, LPA, Land Port Authority. But there are actually many, and it's not so simple. So I would say that Japanese should not wait for this. Harmonization will keep taking place. If Japanese society wait for this, it will be something like the fast track mechanism or the grievance handling mechanism of IJICIP, where Japanese side was listing about 100 plus problems for probably 3-4 years. When I requested, you will recall, that let's categorize the problems into 3 categories. There are few which you can call low-hanging fruit or can be resolved easily, which we can resolve ourselves. There are few which cannot be resolved, so leave them aside. But there are some gray areas. Those points you can keep pushing. So these probably fall in the gray area. You can keep pushing, but don't wait for these problems to be resolved. I think I'll finish here. Thank you so much.